Okay, got it. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're, of course, talking about My Adventures with Superman, which premieres July 6th at midnight on Adult Swim and streaming the next day on Max. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. First of all, how did this project come about?
Okay.
Jake, you know that story.
Yeah.
I can tell it.
There's like three big hinge points. The first big hinge point is Brendan and I were both directing at Nickelodeon. We were talking ironically about superhero fatigue, and we were like, who do you still love with like a pure love that you loved as a child? And we're like, well, Superman, obviously.
Yeah, Superman.
And so then for like the next couple weeks at lunch, we just talked about Superman. And eventually we're like, I think we have like a pitch. And then Audrey Deal, who had left Nickelodeon for Warner Brothers, asked me if we had any Superman pitches. And I was like, ha! So those are the first two hinge points. And the third hinge point is once we knew we were going to make the show and we had like an order for a pilot script, we were like, Josei.
Yeah,
we know that you love Superman.
Yes.
So I'm the fake geek girl in this group. I remember once, because I know that Brainiac is Kaluen, but I didn't know Kolu. So I was like, from Kahlua, and Josie's like, it's Kolu, like dead cold, like ice cold.
Yeah. And then I start like talking about real docs, and like Brendan's nodding, and I'm like, okay, let me talk about the Docs family here. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we took Josie out to Volcano, and we're like, this is the thing, and she was like, sign me up. Yeah. And so we had a show.
Nice. So Josei, it sounds like you're like the one kind of keeping everybody straight as far as like the lore.
Well, I was gonna say, I think Jake's underselling how much of a geek he is, and like Brendan and I like talk a lot about, we're like big DC fans. And then like besides being a geek, like I spent years as a reporter for Comic Book Resources, specifically on the DC beat. So like I have a stupidly encyclopedic knowledge of just like, all right, so let's talk about like Titano the Ape and like
You got it all. It's amazing.
But like it's like the three of us all put our geekery together and we've got this show.
Yeah, with your powers combined,
Yeah.
And that's really cool because I mean it almost sort of mirrors like you were like the real life Lois Lane for a little while. Pulling on my reporter knowledge for how epic our Lois is. It's such a fun series. I really feel like, and it's not that I'm someone that is very anti Zack Snyder Superman. I just like this iteration because it feels more like what I was kind of used to growing up with, this version of Superman. And I guess this question is for y'all. Would you say that this is sort of a course correction, or is this just like this is kind of how you want to see these characters?
The second one, there's a lot of great flavors of Superman. So like I love Kingdom Come Superman, which is like so far away, right? It's like it's very serious and it's epic and it's like biblical, and we're like Clark Kent's nervous around Lois Lane and it's funny, and that is what we want to do. Like, but I love so many different flavors of Superman, and so for me, I'm like, yeah, we get to join the party and we got to do what we loved about it. But I want to hear what you guys have to say about it.
Yeah, Brendan, what do you think?
I like Christopher Reeves. Like I think Man of Steel, like it's a pretty cool movie, but he's like full alien there. And in my heart, you have to have Lois Lane to have Superman, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's like a core ingredient of our show is we're really committed to the idea that like Clark Kent's the guy, Lois Lane is the person he's in love with, and Jimmy Olsen is his best friend. And that triangle of relationships is what's important to the DNA of a Superman show for us. And that's how it's
I mean, I feel like that like meme of like, don't make me tap the sign and the sign says everything that Superman is good. But like, like Brendan and Jake are saying, like, because there's so many different flavors of Superman, we wanted to make the Superman that I think was in our hearts. And like what was in our hearts was this idea of a super being who cares, who is actually more human than a lot of the humans around him, who like thinks kindness is a superpower, not necessarily the lasers or the heat vision or whatnot.
To wrap it up, we love every adventure with Superman, but we wanted to go on our adventure with Superman.
Good.
The the real adventure was the friends we made along the way.
It was.
Yeah, it truly was.
Now, I don't know if this is really aimed to anybody specific, but is it safe to say that this isn't in continuity with like whatever James Gunn's doing? No, okay. Because I figured this was probably in production way before all of that.
Yeah.
Very long time it's been in development
Yes.
and production. It's a long time.
Yeah, I figured, but I was like, you know, might as well ask. But yeah, it's such a fun show though. And yeah, I do kind of like how it's very much for like hardcore fans, but would you all say that it's also kind of a good like place for maybe newer Superman fans to
Deliberately.
get it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was the goal.
Yeah. I mean,
wanted-
you know, I'll go for it, Jake.
No, you're up. Yeah.
I was gonna say we wanted to make this, and I think it was like Jake and Brendan's line of like we wanted to make this the like Superman that like you're like your kid and like your grandma could all sit down and watch together. And I think that's what we set out to do, and hopefully that's what we accomplished with this one.
Yeah. We all had jokes about watching stuff with our parents. And this is that. This is like when your dad leans over and is like, "What's going on?" It doesn't have to do that. The show is answering the questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. And yeah, without giving anything away, I mean, I love how, you know, again, it's very much like you're caught up pretty easily with who these characters are, but you know, there are like some really cool characters that I wasn't expecting. Again, I won't give anything away, but there was some surprises that I was like, yes, I was like cheering in my seat. But yeah, the anime style, again, you know, y'all can chime in on this, but like, was this always sort of the plan to do this kind of in this style?
Pretty much since development. We had some artists in. So Brendan is an alumnus of like Voltron and Korra and a lot of those like other more anime infused American shows. And Josei and I are longtime enjoyers of anime.
Yeah.
So it felt like a natural fit. We picked it early in development. It reflected the way our artists draw on their own time, like domestically, and it reflected the way that most of the Korean studios and our partners Mir work when they work for themselves. So it just fit everything. And then additionally, we were trying to pull some of the anime fairy dust. Like great series like Dragon Ball that had been inspired by Superman. We wanted to kind of twist what they did in the same way that they twisted what Superman had established.
Amazing. So I need to wrap up, but I was wondering if there was any upcoming projects y'all were working on that you were able to talk about.
Josei has one. Me and Brendan are just getting fired.
So
we're just working on Superman still.
What I can say, because I'm doing some stuff in development, which I can't talk about, but what I can say is I've been doing comics for DC Comics. So coming up this summer is the Night Terrors event, and I got the privilege to write the 2-issue Wonder Woman Night Terrors comics. So yeah, I think July and August they said that they're coming out. So get ready. It's some Freddy Krueger, some dreams, some nightmares. It's very cool.
Yes.
That's news to me. I had a book come out last year. It's called The Well. It's published by HarperCollins. Go buy it.
It's very good. It's very good, you guys. Everybody should go buy it.
Yeah, all I have, me and Brenda are winding down season 2, and then we're gonna be fun employed.
I've been working on this for 5 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We're gonna lower us.
We're gonna take a vacation.
Oh, there you go. All right. Well, thank you so much. All of that sounds amazing. I can't wait. And again, the show is great. Just to reiterate, July 6th at midnight on Adult Swim. Next day on streaming on Max. And thank you so much.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having us.
You.
Thanks.
Take care.
Take care.